Now, something else very serious we have to talk about. It's continued on even as we've been focused on the election and the shiny objects, and yes, the constitutional crisis. There is another crisis that continues on our southern border. In fact, Republican Senator Jeff Sessions has issued a critical alert over illegal immigration into our country. The senator warning of a potentially historic surge over the border, especially after an estimated 817,000 illegals crossed our border this fiscal year alone, a 23% increase from last year, according to statistics kept by the Border Patrol. That's why we want to call in our next guest. From Newsmax, Washington, the president of the Federation for American Immigration Reform, Dan Stein. Dan, the illegal invasion continues, aided and abetted by Barack Hussein Obama.
No question about it, JD. You know, immigration's a huge issue in this election, right? It was a major factor all the way through the primaries. CNN, MSNBC, they're never going to the border. They don't go down to the border to talk about what's going on, but we all know Barack Obama has destroyed U.S. immigration controls, entry controls, interior enforcement. They are, you know, catching and releasing aliens by the hundreds of thousands. Jeff Sessions was saying that the border crossings are reaching really all-time highs last year. And of course, the detention numbers themselves are very high. And according to CPB, they're historically reaching high levels. But at the same time, we also know DHS is releasing illegal aliens. The unaccompanied minors are basically being released and then reunited with other illegal aliens in the country. They are certainly with family units, not detaining many of them. We know ultimately that the administration, with complicity from the media, are intentionally trying to hide the magnitude of the illegal flow across our borders by either labeling them legal through some parole label or something, or by just letting them come in, and so discouraging the Border Patrol from catching them. Yet the media have an obligation in this at this point in time. I mean,
well, sure they do, but they're in the tank. And the tragedy is, since you have been out there fighting this, as has FAIR, I awakened to this when I went to the border in my own state I represented of Arizona, talked to people down there. They weren't specifically in my district, but we tried to stand up on these issues, and sadly, presidents of both parties, part of the whole Washington establishment, said, no, we're going to have, quote, comprehensive immigration reform, amnesty. And they were still, the establishment guys were trying to push it in this campaign, and Hillary still pushes it. But listen to the findings, and I'd be interested in your take. Pew Research put out a poll. And to this, I don't know how they asked the question, but I say PU. They are claiming immigration ranks 6th. Now, it's still a big chunk of voters. 70% of responders said it was a concern. The economy was first, 84%, terrorism second, 80%. Seems to me you could ask the question, is border security, national security, and economic security, and it'd go to the top of the list. Is this PU trying to, again, play the establishment game and claiming that immigration isn't as big a concern as we know it is?
Well, look, of course, it's all in how you ask the questions, and Pew obviously doesn't have an interest in highlighting it. But look, immigration is touching on all the other major issues that are of concern in this election: the economy, national security, things, identity theft. I mean, all these things are tied up with the fact that if you lose control of immigration, law and order begins to collapse. You see crime. That's obviously a major issue in this campaign. Law enforcement, law and order. Look, we're facing a national crisis on our borders. And what Senator Kaine is doing is giving a speech in Spanish.
Oh yeah, he's showing up.
Political speech in Spanish.
He's going out. He's going out to Phoenix, and I'm sure he's going to insult my old pal Sheriff Joe Arpaio, who, by the way, is going to be tried after the election for actually enforcing immigration law, because we've empowered federal judges as if they're philosopher kings to try to take down Obama. But you know, this is the thing about Tim Kaine. He goes to the floor after that Gang of Eight put up that god-awful amnesty bill, and he gives a speech on the Senate floor completely in Espanol. And so he's going back to Phoenix to give a speech again in Espanol. I call it not a pander fest, but a pander fiesta. Is there any more blatant sign to people that if they want border security, they sure as heck will not get it from the team of Clinton and Kaine? We got about 30 seconds.
Well, this kind of hispandering, as we call it, Univision is clearly talk about, cheerleading for amnesty and open borders and Hillary Clinton. Look, the blessings of a common language, as John Jay said in the Federalist Papers, are what tie together a highly diverse society. When you have major political leaders like people running for president giving speeches in another language, it tells you they don't respect the core fabric and the ties that bind a diverse nation, in our case, a common language and respect for law. So the future is going to be very rocky if we continue down this path.
We have tried to sound the alarm, and Dan Stein, we know people can act to keep our borders secure and actually enforce immigration law with Donald Trump. We thank you for your time, Dan Stein. There is more ahead on America Talks Live, specifically this day in history. Stay with us.